Atlanta didn't just feel a shift, it felt a threat. One tweet. One leak. And suddenly the air around hip-hop's most powerful city turned cold. What fans thought was a subtle shade is now being whispered about as the opening shot in a beef insiders say is spiraling fast, personal, and dangerously real. This isn't lyrical sparring. This isn't promo. According to people close to the situation, the tension between Future and 21 Savage has crossed out of music territory and into something far darker. When Future posted that now viral line, the internet laughed for about 10 seconds, until street chatter started flooding timelines. Phones lit up. Group chats went quiet. And suddenly everyone started asking the same question: why does this feel different? Sources are claiming this beef didn't start online. It started years ago, behind closed doors, buried under fake friendships, unspoken disrespect, and street business that was never handled the right way. The leaked jail calls. The quiet loyalty lines. The money disputes nobody wanted public. All of it has allegedly been simmering, waiting for one spark. And when 21 Savage chose his side, fans say the fuse was lit. Social media is already in meltdown mode. Twitter is split. Clips are going viral. Other rappers are moving carefully, refusing to comment, which in Atlanta usually means they know something the public doesn't. Insiders are whispering that this isn't heading toward diss tracks. It's heading toward a statement. And in this city, statements don't always come with music. What just leaked next changed everything, and if these rumors are even half true, this could be the most dangerous rap beef Atlanta has seen in years. The moment that tweet hit timelines, people who really know Atlanta culture felt their stomachs drop. To casual fans, it looked like a flex. To insiders, it looked like a line being crossed on purpose. Because according to whispers coming from both camps, that wasn't just Future talking his talk. That was a calculated reminder of hierarchy, power, and status aimed directly at someone who's been feeling overlooked, disrespected, and boxed out for a long time. And when you aim that kind of energy at 21 Savage, you're not just poking a rapper. You're poking a whole ecosystem that takes disrespect personally. Sources claim this tension didn't begin this year, or even last year. It started quietly, back when collaboration slowed, calls went unanswered, and brotherhood turned into convenience. People close to the situation say 21 had been feeling away for months, watching Future get crowned Atlanta's king over and over while his own credibility, loyalty, and street reputation were treated like footnotes. To 21, that wasn't just an industry slight. That was erasure. And when you add in the leaked jail calls from Young Thug, things allegedly went from cold to boiling. Those calls didn't just embarrass people. They cracked open relationships that were already hanging by a thread. According to insiders, hearing Thug call Future fake on a recorded line that the whole world could hear changed the math. That wasn't diss track talk. That was personal disappointment. And 21 Savage took that personally. People say that moment forced him to choose between industry politics and street loyalty. And he chose loyalty. From that point on, every interview answer, every vague comment, every non-mention of Future wasn't accidental. It was intentional. Fans noticed it. Blogs noticed it. And Future definitely noticed it. Behind the scenes, things were allegedly getting tense fast. People say Future's camp felt like 21 was moving funny, testing boundaries, sending messages without saying names. Meanwhile, 21's side allegedly felt like Future was hiding behind success, acting untouchable while letting real issues rot in silence. That gap in perspective is dangerous because both sides think they're justified. And when both sides feel disrespected, nobody wants to be the first to blink. Then came the street rumor that changed how people viewed the beef entirely. Whispers of a real estate deal gone wrong between people connected to both camps started circulating again. Not new rumors, but old ones resurfacing at the worst possible time. Allegedly, someone connected to one side sold property to someone connected to the other, only for it to turn into a setup that ended in a robbery. Serious money. Serious disrespect. And according to street code, the responsibility to handle it didn't fall on the small players. it fell on leadership. When that situation allegedly never got handled properly, resentment calcified into something deeper than music could ever fix. Insiders say that situation never fully went away. It just got buried under success, tours, and studio sessions. But unresolved street business has a way of resurfacing when pride gets involved. And when 21 started publicly positioning himself as Atlanta's real voice, skipping over Future in conversations about the city's hierarchy, people close to Future allegedly saw it as open disrespect. That Big Bank interview wasn't just awkward. It was strategic. 21 dodging the question, then finally saying me wasn't bravado. It was a declaration that he was done waiting his turn. Future's response was subtle but loud in its own way. A post reminding everyone who's the biggest might look harmless, but in context, it landed like a slap. To fans, it was confidence. To people in the streets, it was a challenge. Social media did what it always does in moments like this, it picked sides instantly. Twitter turned into a war zone. Comment sections filled with accusations of fakeness, jealousy, clout chasing, and entitlement. Every lyric Future ever wrote was re-examined. Every interview 21 ever gave was reinterpreted. The narrative was spiraling out of control. Then the alleged leak started. Short clips. Voice notes. Screenshots that vanished as quickly as they appeared. Nothing officially confirmed, but enough smoke to make people believe there was fire. One clip, rumored to be someone close to 21, vented about disrespect, money, and people acting Hollywood. Another screenshot allegedly showed heated group chats about loyalty and who really stood tall when things got uncomfortable. The fact that these leaks kept disappearing only made people more convinced they were real. In hip-hop, deleted content is often louder than anything left up. As this played out, other artists started moving carefully. Likes disappeared. Comments were avoided. Neutral posts became the norm. In Atlanta, that kind of silence isn't ignorance. It's awareness. People were watching, waiting to see which way the wind would blow. Because when two giants clash, everyone else has to decide whether to duck or declare allegiance. And that's when insiders started saying this beef felt different. Heavier. More dangerous. Not because of what had been said, but because of what hadn't been said yet. 21 Savage online behavior shifted too. His tone grew sharper. Less coded. More direct. When his album numbers disappointed, sources say the pressure amplified everything he'd been holding in. He allegedly felt like the industry was quick to crown kings but slow to respect authenticity. That frustration spilled out in his tweets, where he started airing industry truths people usually keep behind closed doors. Some saw it as crashing out. Others saw it as honesty. Either way, it poured gasoline on a fire that was already burning. Future, meanwhile, stayed mostly quiet. To some, that looked mature. To others, it looked like avoidance. And in certain circles, avoidance is interpreted as weakness. People close to Future reportedly urged him to stay strategic, stay insulated, and not let emotion pull him into something that couldn't be controlled. But others warned that silence could be misread as arrogance. In Atlanta, perception is currency. And right now, perception was spinning out of control. The city started to feel it. Not in headlines, but in atmosphere. Studios became more selective. Club appearances felt tense. Conversations got quieter. People checked who was in the room before speaking freely. Because when beef reaches this level, it stops being entertainment and starts being environmental. Everyone in proximity feels it. And as rumors continued to stack, one thing became painfully clear to anyone paying attention: this wasn't peaking yet. This was a building. The scariest part wasn't the tweets, the interviews, or the leaks. It was the sense that both sides felt justified, disrespected, and unwilling to back down. And when pride, loyalty, money, and reputation collide in a city with long memories and deep ties, the fallout doesn't stay online. As the night went on and the chatter grew louder, insiders started saying the same thing quietly to anyone who would listen. This situation is a Invitations dried up. Studios that used to feel open now felt guarded. This wasn't paranoia. This was preparation. Then the leaked jail calls came roaring back into the conversation like a ghost nobody could silence. Clips were reposted, remixed, slowed down, and dissected word by word. Young Thug's voice, heavy with disappointment, allegedly calling Future fake, didn't just embarrass anyone, it validated what 21 Savage had been feeling for years. Insiders say 21 didn't hear those calls as gossip. He heard them as confirmation. Confirmation that the industry crown didn't mean respect. Confirmation that loyalty was being traded for convenience. And once that realization hit, there was no UN hearing it. Behind closed doors, people claimed 21 was spiraling emotionally, not in fear, but in frustration. His album numbers weren't what he expected. The blogs were ruthless. Comparisons to the Future were everywhere. And in his mind, the narrative was backwards. According to those close to him, 21 felt like he'd done everything right, kept it authentic, stayed loyal, stood by people when it wasn't profitable, and still got pushed to the side. That kind of resentment doesn't explode quietly. It ferments. And when it finally leaks out, it's messy. That's when the Twitter energy escalated. What started as vague statements allegedly turned into intentional shots. Tweets about being the realist. About fake love. About people who disappear when things get uncomfortable. None of it was named, but everyone knew exactly who it was aimed at. Future's fans fired back immediately, flooding timelines with numbers, plaques, and charts. They framed it as jealousy. As bitterness. As someone crashing out because success didn't come easy this time. But in 21's camp, that narrative only added insult to injury. Because to them, numbers didn't erase disrespect. Meanwhile, Future's silence grew louder. Insiders say he was furious but calculated. He's built his entire career on staying untouchable, letting music and success shield him from chaos. But this time, the chaos wasn't random. It was targeted. And people around him allegedly warned that this wasn't the type of situation you could outgrow with hits. This was about perception, and perception spreads faster than truth. Every day he didn't respond, speculation grew. Was he plotting? Was he dismissing it? Or was he underestimating how personal this had become? Then came the rumor that made even neutral parties uneasy. Allegedly, there were heated confrontations behind the scenes, no cameras, no tweets, just raised voices and unchecked emotion. Some say mutual acquaintances tried to mediate and failed. Others claim messages were sent that crossed from disrespect into provocation. None of it confirmed. All of it is believable. And in Atlanta, believable rumors are often treated like facts. The condo situation resurfaced again, louder this time. Bloggers started whispering details. Fans started repeating street stories they'd heard years ago but never fully believed. According to those rumors, that incident wasn't just a robbery. It was humiliating. And humiliation is something neither side forgets. People close to Future allegedly felt like it was proof that lines had been crossed long ago and never corrected. People close to 21 allegedly felt like the situation was being exaggerated and weaponized now that the beef was public. Two sides. Two realities. No resolution. Other artists began reacting indirectly. Cryptic posts about loyalty. About knowing who's really with you. About staying out of the way when energy turns dark. Some deleted posts minutes after uploading them. Others refused to speak at all. That silence wasn't fear, it was calculation. Because nobody wanted to get caught choosing wrong if this spiraled beyond music. Then 21 went further. His tweets allegedly started peeling back the curtain on industry hypocrisy. Snitching standards. Selective outrage. Artists protect money over morals. It felt less like a rant and more like a purge. Fans argued whether it was truth-telling or self-sabotage. But one thing was undeniable: once you expose secrets, you can't put them back. And every revelation tightened the noose around whatever peace might have still existed. Future finally responded, not directly, but pointedly. A reminder of dominance. Of longevity. Of being the biggest. To his supporters, it was calm confidence. To 21's camp, it allegedly felt dismissive, like success being used as a shield against accountability. That post reignited everything. The internet exploded again. Memes, debates, fan wars, and think pieces flooded timelines. What should have been playful competition now felt like a collision course. Behind the scenes, insiders claimed security tightened. Movements were adjusted. Appearances were reconsidered. Not because anyone wanted violence, but because nobody trusted the temperature anymore. When pride is bruised and reputations are on the line, accidents happen. Misunderstandings escalate. And the scariest part was that nobody seemed willing or able to hit the brakes. As the night wore on, one respected Atlanta figure allegedly warned people to stay out of the mix. Not publicly. Quietly. Privately. That alone spoke volumes. Because when people who've seen it all start advising distance, it means the situation has crossed into dangerous territory. By the time dawn hit, the narrative had changed again. This wasn't about who sold more records. This was about who commanded respect when the cameras were off. And according to those watching closely, both sides felt like they had something to prove. The city was holding its breath. Because when egos, history, and street credibility collide like this, the next move is rarely accidental. And whatever happens next won't be subtle. By the time the third wave of chaos hit, it was clear this wasn't slowing down, it was mutating. The energy shifted from loud to lethal feeling, from public to private, from tweets to tension you could almost feel through the screen. Insiders started using a different word when they talked about this situation. Not beef. Not drama. They started calling it uncontained. Because at this point, nobody was steering it anymore. It was moving on its own. Behind closed doors, sources claim both camps were being flooded with advice, and none of it aligned. Some voices were pushing peace, warning that this was going too far, too fast. Others were saying backing down now would look like weakness, and weakness in Atlanta has consequences. That split alone was dangerous. Because when the people around you can't agree on whether to calm things down or stand firm, mistakes happen. And mistakes in this city echo. Then came the alleged final straw that insiders say took this from volatile to unpredictable. A private message, rumored to have been sent late at night, that crossed from indirect shade into something that felt personal. Not a threat. Not a plan. Just a line that, according to people who saw it, couldn't be interpreted as anything but disrespect. The message never leaked in full. It didn't need to. Word of it was enough. Screenshots were allegedly taken, then deleted. Phones went dark. And suddenly, people who had been joking about the beef stopped laughing. At the same time, fans noticed something else. Movements changed. Appearances were cancelled last minute. Locations shifted. Security details reportedly increased on both sides. None of that proves intent, but in hip-hop culture, those signals mean awareness. You don't move like that if you think everything is just online noise. You move like that when you're not sure what someone else might do next. Social media, of course, did what it always does, it poured gasoline on the fire. Clips from years ago resurfaced again, now framed as foreshadowing. Old lyrics were treated like coded messages. Every caption was analyzed like a threat assessment. Fan bases turned into digital armies, daring the other side to respond, escalating narratives that the artists themselves might not have even intended. That's the most dangerous part of modern beef. Once fans get involved, reality and exaggeration blend until nobody remembers where the line was. Industry figures started acting strange too. Invitations were quietly rescinded. Studio sessions were postponed. Collaborations that once felt inevitable suddenly felt impossible. Neutral parties were forced into uncomfortable silence. Because choosing not to choose is still a choice, and in moments like this, it's often the safest one. One insider put it bluntly, rumors continued to swirl about unresolved street business, about disrespect that couldn't be undone with apologies or explanations. Whether those rumors were true almost stopped mattering. Belief was enough. And belief spreads faster than facts. That's how situations get out of hand, not because everyone wants chaos, but because too many people are acting on assumptions at the same time. What terrified insiders most wasn't anger. It was a certainty. The certainty on both sides that they were right. That they were justified. That backing down would rewrite their narrative forever. In hip-hop, legacy is everything. And this beef had become about legacy, not lyrics. About who gets remembered as authentic. As respected. As untouchable. When reputation is on the line, rational thinking often takes a back seat. By now, everyone could feel it. This wasn't entertainment anymore. This was pressure. The kind that either gets released safely or explodes. And nobody knew which way it was going. Because all it takes is one misunderstanding. One overheard comment. One wrong person repeating the wrong thing to the wrong ears. That's how situations turn irreversible. The scariest part is that no one has officially crossed the line yet. And that's exactly why people are nervous. Because the longer something simmers without release, the more destructive it can become when it finally boils over. Atlanta has seen this story before. Not once. Not twice. And it never ends the way fans expect. Right now, the city is watching two giants stand their ground, surrounded by history, loyalty, ego, and unresolved tension. Everyone is waiting for the next move, hoping it's music, praying it's words, fearing it might be something else entirely. Because once a beef reaches this level, there's no mute button. No rewind. No undo. And the most unsettling truth of all is this: nobody can say with confidence that this stays on the internet. Not anymore. If you're still here, understand this clearly: you're watching a story unfold in real time that could flip Atlanta's entire hip-hop landscape upside down. This isn't one of those beefs you hear about weeks later when it's already cooled off. This is active. It's evolving. And the people involved are watching how the public reacts. That's why you can't scroll past this like it's just another headline. If this situation escalates, you'll want to remember you saw the warning signs before everyone else did. Hit like right now so this breakdown doesn't get buried. The algorithm decides what gets seen and what gets silenced, and stories like this only survive when people engage. Drop a comment with what you think is really happening behind the scenes, not the surface level fan talk, but the real motive driving this tension. Are we watching ego? Loyalty? Or something much deeper that's been waiting to explode? Your voice matters more than you think. And subscribe immediately. Not tomorrow. Not after it trends. Because when the next move happens, whether it's a response, a leak, or a sudden shift nobody saw coming, this channel will break it down the moment it drops. Missing the next chapter means getting the story secondhand, after narratives have already been twisted and sides have already been chosen. This isn't just entertainment anymore. It's a moment. Stay locked in, stay informed, and stay ahead of the curve, because once this situation reaches its breaking point, there's no rewinding it.